You may have noticed from my recent story that I got myself a new bike. This bike is a city bike, or as they call it in France, a vélo de ville. And I got it for multiple reasons, but the main reason is for Uber Eats. This bike is good for Uber Eats because you sit in a much more vertical or upright position, and because of that, a pizza doesn't become a calzone halfway through the delivery. The saddle is also good for Uber Eats because it's a lot more comfortable than the carbon saddle that I had on my road bike. This fat saddle distributes a lot of your weight on your arse cheeks rather than on your perineum, which was the problem that I had with the saddle on the road bike. And when a lot of the weight is distributed on your perineum and you're carrying considerable weight on your back, then your dick is going to get a bit numb from that when it's time to perform. 3 other things that this bike is useful for is riding off-road on trails, doing shopping, and bike touring because of the rear rack that it has. The rear rack is a lot more sturdy than the other rear rack that I had for my road bike. It can carry a lot more weight. The previous rear rack that I had could only carry about 11 kilos max, and this one can take up to 40 kilos. And the weight isn't distributed on my seat post anymore. It goes into multiple areas of the frame. So obviously this bike is significantly slower than my road bike, but for me that's a worthwhile sacrifice to make, as it's not about speed anymore, it's about practicality. Another reason why I like this bike is that it's going to be significantly cheaper to maintain than my road bike. For example, a shifter on my road bike costs 110 euros, whereas a shifter for this bike only costs 10 euros. And it's still Shimano components. The bike has 35mm tires, so that's really good for going off-road or riding on the cobbles. On the road bike, I would just feel every fucking bump when I was riding over the cobbles, but with this bike, it absorbs a significant amount of the impact, which I think is mostly due to the tires, but also due to the suspension that the saddle has, or I wouldn't really call it suspension, it's just springs, so it's like a fucking bed spring when you're going balls deep. Another cool feature that I really like about this bike is the Dynamo. The Dynamo is in the front wheel and it powers both the front and the rear lights, so no more attaching and detaching lights or charging them. I can just flick the switch and voila, the lights are turned on at night. The price of the bike is 390 euros, so it's almost double the price of the fixie that I had before, but it seems a lot more robust than that bike. The only way to truly find out is to ride into a speeding truck. Okay, that was a lame joke, if you could even call it that. As for the weight of the bike, I'm not sure, but I think it weighs about 12 or 13 kilograms. The banana sticker didn't come with the bike. I just added it after the fact, after buying it, so that I can let other cult members know I'm here.